every guy my mom dated, I would think to myself, this is it. This one will stay. None of them ever did until Danny, but he was only there a short while before he lost his battle with addiction. I met Jamie, my son's father, just after I turned 15. I found out I was pregnant shortly after that. The first positive pregnancy test overwhelmed me with fear. Well, this out of pure denial. I took probably 50 more pregnancy tests. Finally, I felt a sense of calm. I would have someone who needed me, someone who loved me unconditionally, who would never leave me. I finally had my reason to be here. My mom wasn't happy with my pregnancy, but once she saw my sweet baby on the ultrasound screen for the first time, everything changed. She couldn't wait to meet her first grandchild. I delivered my son at 35 weeks. I was terrified. I had this preemie baby that I was solely responsible for, and it was all real. My only priority was to give my son a child that he didn't have to recover from. Labor and delivery were hard, so my mom and grandma took my son for a day so I could rest. They met a Hope House volunteer that day. They told her my story, and she told them I needed to go in as soon as possible. I was hesitant, so I didn't go. A week later, I was at the WIC office, and I saw a brochure for Hope House. I looked up at God. Fine, I'll go. Bye. A week later, I met with Jenny, the program director. From the jump walking into Hope House, I was a human. I wasn't just a teen mom, and now I was a Hope House girl. I was too young to get my GED, so I took some other classes that Hope House offered, as well as got my CNA course completed. Once I was of age, I took my first 2 tests and passed no problem. My second 2, I kept failing by just a couple points, so I said, all right, we're gonna take a step back. I was at work when I got the call from Ashley. Congratulations, they changed the passing scores. You're a GED graduate. I was on top of the world in that moment. February of 2016, I walked the graduation stage. A month later, on March 18th, 2016, I got a call that my son's father had been murdered. I had hit the bottom and I had no idea how I was going to do this. But I was a mom. Life didn't stop. I had to be okay. I was so angry with God, I pushed everyone away. Stopped going to church. Lisa wouldn't let me push her away. The women at Hope House sent me flowers the day after I found out about my son's father, and they sent me a card. Everyone signed it. I still have it to this day, and I look at it often. They would text me knowing I wouldn't respond, just to tell me that I was loved, that I mattered, and that I was never alone. I met Justin just 8 months after Jamie was murdered, and I was terrified. I was still learning how to live with this new life we had. I was grieving. I didn't want him to leave after a month. I didn't want to do that to my son like my parents had done to me. A year and a half later, I went back to church for the first time. And it's like God was speaking directly to me when he said, Pastor, I'm sorry. He said, faith is hard, and it's messy. It's hard to believe that there's a God that will let you go through these things. So I sucked it all in, and I said, okay, I'll give you another chance. I was walking in the car with my son, and he said, Mom, God help my daddy paint the sky for me. And in that moment, it was like God said, I got you. We're gonna be okay. You got this. 3 years later, I know he was right. I am okay. My biggest concern when my son's father passed away was that our son didn't have his last name. Thanks to the donors at Hope House who paid for the expense, I was able to legally change his last name. He's officially Landon Jacob Villarreal. He has a stepdad who absolutely adores him and raises him as his own, and he's the man that I know I will spend the rest of my life with. I have my dream job as part of the management team with Nurse Next Door, with bosses who love me and appreciate me. To everyone here who contributes to Hope House, whether it be with your time or financially, thank you from the bottom of my heart, because we wouldn't make it out on top without you. And to all the moms who need to hear this tonight, it gets better. Your time is coming. God's got you. Doesn't rain forever.